Shalom, this is Jonathan with the Men of Valor Camp. Just want to give all praises due to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Pretty much I was talking, in my last sit down last week, regarding the movie Doctor Strange. I hadn't gotten the opportunity to actually sit down and watch it and really get with it, but I did get a moment to this week. And pretty much Doctor Strange is a very interesting movie because it's very, very spiritual, just on the realm of things that we deal with, or that we don't see, where the average person may be carnal. So, for instance, like in the movie, they had a discussion or a comment, I should say, not a discussion, where he said the Avengers, they protect the world, but they protect the spiritual realm. And that's, pretty much stuff that we go through here. So, Doctor Strange, there's a few things that I'll touch on, a few scriptures that I thought of, when watching this movie. But, the first one and the most basic one at the moment is Ephesians 6 and 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So, and that's exactly what's going on. There's a lot of witchcraft. It's a lot of sorcery. It's dark side. It's light side, righteous versus evil, and that's pretty much what's going on in this movie, and that's what's going on with us. That's what's going on with all of us in the world. Period. But especially with us that that are enlightened. So here he is. He's learning all this stuff, and he's learning it. But he's not realizing that what he's learning is much bigger than him. He's not realizing that there's this world that no one knows about, that all this stuff is going on. And the same thing here. It's shit that's going on that we have no clue about. Absolutely no clue. And so, in that regard, we are like, Doctor Strange, but also because we wrestle against, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. Like, sure, you might get into a physical altercation or argument, but that's not what this is about. You can overcome that. It's the principalities against the powers, which the evil world that we live in, the evil society has been set up, against the darkness of this world, the rulers of darkness, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So again, spiritual wickedness in high places, that's what we're dealing with, and ultimately that's what he was dealing with, spiritual wickedness in high places. Because they control a lot more, on that front than anyone could ever do physically. So Doctor Strange was on it like that. Now, secondly, he was a pretty arrogant dude, and he had to be humble. The Most High definitely humbles and chastises who he loves, but so this is kind of brought me to Romans 12 and 3. For I say through the grace given to me, to every man that is among you to not think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God has dealt to every man the measure of faith. So here, this guy he thought very highly of himself. He was a neurosurgeon. He saved lives. He pretty much felt like he was a god because he controlled a lot of shit because he had the power of life and death in his hand. And then, that was taken away from him. And even then, he still thought very highly of himself. He was very, 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 very conceited, very arrogant, self-absorbed, and he had to learn. Like we have to learn. Like we're still learning. Sometimes we may think that, we're the best at, scriptures, best at whatever our lot is, or even on the worldly set, we might be the best at something. But sometimes sometimes you still gotta remain humble, because that could be taken away from you. And what he was the best at, it was taken away from him. And that's stuff that happens. That the Most High does all the time. For instance, I believe if it was an instance with Moses, he ain't giving Most High his props, and for that he ain't make it into the promised land. Moses, he was the man, but he ain't make it. So the Most High will take something from you. And again, I say that, beginning with myself always. And secondly, next thing, in order to become better, he had to, in order to battle those dark forces, to understand those things, he had to learn more. He had to be a little more diligent. I mean, that's something that we all need to be or figure out or try. And again, it ain't easy. We constantly at work, constantly dealing with nonsense, and sometimes we just need, need a second to ourselves. But what Jay-Z said, the world don't stop. I gotta keep on. So that's all good just a week ago. But pretty much to just go to that, Doctor Strange got on a level where, he was all arrogant and shit like that, but he was putting the work in. And like I said, starting with myself and other brothers, just try to start putting the work in a little more. And pretty much he became the man. So, this is 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And that's what's going on here. He was studying to show himself approved. That's actually funny why I'm saying that. That scene is on, if y'all can see. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but pretty much he's still in books. If y'all ain't see it, my bad. But pretty much what he's doing right now is he's still in books and he's studying it. And he's becoming stronger. He's becoming one of them. So that's what Doctor Strange was doing. I mean, in order to become, become what he became, to become a sorcerer or become someone that was able, to control that type of stuff, I should say, or fight or battle those evil forces that we were talking about in Ephesians 6:12. And then lastly, when he shed that arrogance, and that's something that all of us have to do. We have to be humble. When he shed that arrogance, he realized, it's not just about me. And that's probably one of the hardest things you'll ever learn in life. I don't care if it's in the truth. I don't care if it's in regular life. If you got children, you got a wife, you got friends, whatever the case may be, you start realizing that it's not about you. For instance, even though he might catch a lot of slack in the truth, but on a carnal tip, on a worldly tip, Martin Luther King, people would pretty much he would have been a person that did that. On a worldly tip, he realized it wasn't about him. Although what he did wasn't something that was necessarily beneficial, because it made our situation a little. Well, I mean, I won't touch into it too much, but it made our situation where we didn't realize that we were still getting treated the same way. Like we were looking for equality when we're still not equal. But that's neither here nor there. But to finish it out, pretty much, it's John 15:13. Greater love have no man than this, than a man that laid down his life for his friends. And although the people in the movie weren't his friends, but he realized it wasn't about him ultimately, and he was willing to sacrifice. And that's all, what this is ultimately about. You sacrifice, yourself, and you fight that battle, against for good and evil, against those dark forces. And we all battle our dark forces. So I just want to say this, man. Pray for yourself, pray for brothers, and then, just Lord willing, just keep it day by day, man. We ain't perfect. We all got our demons, myself included. But, we going to continue in the faith, Lord willing. And I say all praises due to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom. Till next time, Lord willing.